Are you on a forklift?
Yeah, yeah.
You are a son of a bitch.
Un saluto a tutti.
Buongiorno, Bianconeri. Welcome back to the All Juvecast channel. We are going to recap the 2-0 victory over Spezia. I've got a packed house today with Anthony Skangan. I just noticed that now. Very, very nice, Lou. So, Lou coming back after a while. We got Lucci in the house again and Omer. Let's all say what's up to Omer. Yesterday, I was a little shy on his introduction, okay, and he made me feel bad about it. So let's make sure we give a nice warm welcome to all the lads today. There we go. We're going to get some housekeeping out of the way real quick, and that is if you're tuning into this on your audio outlets, get over to YouTube, okay? Subscribe to the channel. That's where you get all the extra content. Match day lives, watch alongs, all that. All right. So make sure you get over there and subscribe. We're going to say what's up real quick to everyone in the chat and see if maybe they set the tone for today's discussion. So Bob Yokes, as always, ciao AGC, Forza Juventus, ciao Bobby. Lucci dropping in comments before he even gets onto the panel. Look at this guy. Look at this guy. Michael Razzo, Forza Juve, 3 points and another clean sheet. What's there to not be happy about? Well, maybe we find something. We'll see. We'll see. Ciao, Vito. Ciao, ciao. Luca. Telling Lucci what to do. Come on. Slap nuts. Let's go. Let's go. All right. We're going to start this game. I'm going to be quite honest. I think everybody knows the first half was played at like a snail's pace. Okay. So we're going to do our best to, I can probably cover all the highlights. I could probably cover the whole game in a recap in our standard time and still get to all our Storm the Barn and all our outside topics, but we're not going to do that. We're going to just quickly touch on starting lineups, our thoughts on it going into the game, and then I'll quickly do highlights, and then we'll get to all the good stuff. So real quick, starting lineup. I think we all had the exact same concerns, okay? But we had Perin in goal. You had Danilo, Rugani, Sandro. You had Quadrado, Paredes, Locatelli, Rabiot, Kostic with Vlahovic and Kean up top. The way we've been playing, you've now got two strikers up there. So obviously creation was going to fall heavily and rely heavily on the midfielders. And then you have a midfield of Paredes, Locatelli, and Rabiot. So for me, I was like, that was the glaring thing is where are we going to be creating goals? Omer said it in the match day live. Get ready for cross after cross after cross, and that was what we were set up to do. But yeah, for me, that midfield, I almost had an aneurysm just looking at it. But what were your guys' thoughts on that starting lineup? Obviously, Omer was with me on the match day live, so let's get Lou to kick us off on his thoughts, and then we'll get Lucci's.
Ugly. I looked at that lineup and I thought, maybe I should do something else with my Sunday morning. But no, I'm kidding. But obviously the big glaring one is you just hate to see Paredes in the starting XI at all. Makes me a little bit of a hypocrite because I used to like Paredes, but after the season, not much good to say about him. But he had to play because Fajuli was hurt. Yeah, it's just the eye was on Nantes for Thursday. That's where it was.
Yeah, I think that's essentially what it was.
Yeah.
All right, Lucci.
Yeah, I think Lou's pretty accurate. I would have liked to see some of the youngsters like Sule or Iling get a start in this one, especially just for some creativity, because like that midfield was awful anyway. But now we're gonna miss Locatelli for the next match, which who knows. That's going to be an ugly one against
the Derby.
In the Derby, yeah, exactly.
So Derby de la Mola, yeah.
It's another Paredes masterclass next week.
Oh man, I'm not getting my hopes up on that.
He really did exceed expectations, didn't he? Paredes.
Them in like the bad, in a bad way, yeah.
I didn't expect him to be this bad. I thought, Roma, Paris Saint-Germain, he might have something. I just don't like him, but he's just lights out. One of the worst.
I just thought the Paredes would give us that little bit of that SOB that Juventus.
Yes, yeah. We saw it once against Tonali when he just bolted at him, but that was it.
Like if he could just do what he did with the Dutch every game, like where he kicks the ball into the stands, like he'd be okay in my book. Like that's
if he
that's
could
it.
just run to be an asshole to other players on the opposition, it would be great. Again, this pace today or yesterday in that game suited Paredes because the first half was a snail's pace.
He didn't have to move.
Probably a good thing for us. We all had the same concerns. Up top with both strikers, when you got Vlahovic and Kean, this was one of the things that was talked about too, is it's a lot different than when Milik is partnering up with another striker because he can very much get involved in buildup and creation and helping out there. With Kean and Vlahovic, they are way too similar, okay? And they actually struggle with similar issues, which is the hold-up play and everything. So that was kind of one of the things to look out for. And in the first half, it very much was highlighted. But we'll get to the highlights here. 25th minute. That's right, 25th minute for an opportunity for Juve. And it was a header from Danilo that, honestly, I would have expected him to at least put on target, but it goes wide. 6 minutes later, Kostic coming up the left side, crossing it in. You know it's coming. Ampadu just couldn't get to it. And Kean takes a swipe at it. Doesn't get all of it, but he gets enough of it to get it in. So 1-0 for Juve. 39th minute, and Spezia carves Juve up pretty good at the back there. Gets it to a back post cross. The header, fortunately for us, goes straight at Perin. Giazzi was lingering around there, thought he was pretty pissed off at himself for not getting to it, but he would have probably been offside on that. That, honestly, everybody, wraps up the first half for highlights. Like, that's it. So we're going to go around the horn and get everybody's thoughts at a halftime, and we can kick this one off with Omer. Go ahead, man.
Well, you forgot the yellow after 20 seconds to Locatelli.
To Locatelli?
Yeah, that was a highlight.
Oh, my God.
That was pretty harsh, actually. I think the referee, first foul, it wasn't anything like seriously dangerous. I don't know.
He did set the tone, though, and to be fair, he was consistent like the rest of the game. Like, I don't think the ref was a talking point at all. It was very, very shocking to see, like, a fucking first-minute yellow card. But we had that a very early one in the last one, too, and I think it was
Rabiot. But that I felt was, like, justified. Rabiot's tackle was reckless and from behind and just...
The funny thing is that I think Rabiot's, like, I thought was harsh. And Luca's, I always think it's harsh in the first minute if it's not like clear cut, like, yes, you have to card him. I will always say it's harsh.
Yeah, it sucks getting a yellow for your first foul. Whenever it happens, it did the same to Fagioli later on. But like you said, not much. To be honest, I gave up at halftime. I didn't stop watching the match, but I turned my PlayStation on and put it on the iPad and kind of did both. That first half was one of the worst attacking displays I've ever seen from Juve. I mean, seriously, I tweeted about it. I know I sound like I'm always complaining, but that was really horrible.
It wasn't surprising, though.
No,
and
it
like
wasn't.
I said, as the half wore on, you could see, like, Kean and Vlahovic don't complement another.
No.
And then the creation was not there. And I think one of the things that surprised me was I was expecting Locatelli to be as a Metsala and actually push forward, which might make sense to try and help create and whatever, but it wasn't. He was still kept at the heart above the D, and Paredes was, well, at the start, he got forward, but then he never did it again. And then he seemed to just congest things with Locatelli, and then Rabiot was the only one going forward. So it was a little bit of a mess there for me in terms of the midfield and everything. But Lucci, we'll get Lou thoughts at the half.
Yeah, I think Omer nailed it perfectly. But what do you expect when your three midfielders are not creative ones? That's why you need someone like Sule in there to get in and get some creativity going forward. I'm not sold on that Kean Vlahovic partnership up top. They couldn't make a pass, couldn't take a pass. Man, I'd rather watch Anthony play Sunday League than watch those two make a
Nobody
pass.
wants to see that. Lou, I'm gonna ask you a question while we get to your first half recap. At half, was there any changes you would have made? Were you thinking to yourself like, I would probably do this right now?
Well, Allegri ended up making this, but Fagioli was one of them. I thought that was we really missed him in the midfield. Moretti even too, like if he had been fit, would have been perfect for this because those Fagioli and Moretti, Rabiot occasionally does this, but they consistently make runs into the box, right? They get wide, they get width, like that's what really opens things up for Juventus when they're on the pitch. They create a lot because they'll actually make runs and, get wide and whip crosses in. Whereas a lot of our other midfielders, Paredes does nothing. That's not really Locatelli's game. So we really missed that. And I also kind of thought that Sule would come on. Di Maria did eventually come on, but in the build up to the match. So that would have been my other substitution. As far as the half goes, and like you guys said, like just dismal, no creativity. I thought that the plan was to get some width with Kostic and Cuadrado, and then the plan was just thrown out the window very, very early. And front two, like you guys highlighted, just didn't gel.
There were sequences where we were trying to stretch them out and go over the top, which looked good. It was like, okay, that's a little bit better when you get Vlahovic and Kean going north-south. And it's like, okay, that can play to their strengths a little bit better, right? But we only did it a couple times. So for me at half, I was thinking, you know what? Switch it up. Kostic, I thought was good. So I was like, I wouldn't move Kostic, but I would definitely look to get Iling or Sule involved and probably sacrifice one of your strikers. The need for two strikers in that game wasn't necessary, and you could see it in the first half. So outside of that, I would have probably made that change. In the midfield, yeah, I agree. Like, make a change because they were way too one-dimensional for sure.
There were small instances in the half that frustrated me, like Kostic and Paredes bumping into each other. Then like a minute after, Cuadrado throws the throw in back out for a throw into the other team. I mean, it's stuff like that make it seem like the team their head is not in the game.
The Cuadrado throw was amazing.
He was a disaster yesterday. He was on the floor every 2 minutes.
Yeah, and the referee wasn't buying it.
He didn't get one call.
So we get halftime substitution. So you get Fagioli coming in for Paredes. Thank you, Elise, for that. De Sciglio coming in for Cuadrado. Is De Sciglio preferred to Cuadrado for you guys?
Honestly, yes. I've asked you this at the end of the game. I think Cuadrado is worse than De Sciglio, and not because De Sciglio got better, just Cuadrado got miles worse than what.
I'm not there yet, brother. I'm not yet.
That's like
I don't know.
This season, that's like picking between a cyanide capsule and a handgun. Like you're just, like you're losing.
Which is which? Who's the handgun?
I think De Sciglio is still the handgun for now.
You think? Yeah, I think Quad still. Lucci.
No, I'm with Omer on this one. I can't stand to watch Juan.
We're split on this. Let's see what the live says. De Sciglio or Quad here. That's funny. We'll see where it lands towards the end of the show. So we'll continue on with some highlights here. Talked about the two changes. Lord De Sciglio coming on, and then of course Fagioli. 47th minute. So a couple minutes right into the second half. Let's see if we can get after this and get some insurance. Header opportunity for Moise Kean, and he goes wide with this thing. That one's got to be at the least on target. Open header, alone. Great cross in by Sandro, by the way. But yeah, Kean can't make it count. 52nd minute. Rezia for
he was torching Cuadrado.
Actually had a game for himself on the left flank for Spezia. He was all over the place. Physical guy and good crossing too. But anyways, he crosses one in back post. The clearance from Locatelli actually deflects off Danilo and falls for Shomrudov, who I thought was going to just drill this thing into the back of our goal. Luckily, Danilo recovered and blocked it. That was a good chance for Spezia. 65th minute, Danilo finding Di Maria. And once Di Maria entered the game again, you talk about creation, you talk about, then all of a sudden things change. And you have this hope like, okay, through Di Maria again. And in Di Maria, we trust, okay? Because that was pretty much it for us. Danilo finding him with a pass. The second he turns around, you know what he's doing. It's so decisive and it's so different than all our other players. And, you know, this could paint a picture for Juve, and we'll talk about it more. But the second he turns around, you know what he's doing. He takes one touch and he fires this thing right across to the back post, and it's in. And there's your 2-0. There's your insurance. Fantastic stuff from Di Maria. We will talk more about Di Maria there. But, guys, this move highlighted something else for me. And this game, we've noticed it other games, but this game especially, the lack of decisiveness from so many of our players in the final third. And then when you get players of quality, and you see other guys get in the final third, their steps become smaller. You can almost see the smoke coming out of their ears because they're trying to think about what the hell they're going to do. And then with Di Maria, it's like, boom, he knows instantly. He knows instantly what's going to do. And I don't know, people are putting that down to the coaching, and these guys aren't confident. They don't have confidence, so they don't know what they're going to do in the final third. There's no organization. Everybody's got their theory on it. But one thing's for sure, in the final third, outside of like Di Maria, these guys lack decisiveness. I'd say some other guys that are close to it, Sule's actually fairly close. He's pretty decisive when he's in that final third. But outside of that, like even sometimes our strikers, you could see a little bit of lack of decisiveness in them. But what are you guys' thoughts there?
I'd throw Fagioli into the decisive.
I was going to say that as
I
well.
Fagioli's like very, very calm on the ball. He like Juventus, oftentimes when you watch them, especially in the buildup, they make these passes where it's like they just have to get rid of it, right? It's like the faster I can get rid of it, like I just have to get rid of it. And when you see someone like Fagioli, it's just like an easy touch. It's like a one-touch pass to the guy that's right next to him, move into space, turn on the heel, just very calm. Which you're talking about decisiveness. Allegri talked about this a lot, and he
wanted to, obviously.
Yeah. He was talking about his press conferences, and he was saying that Juventus need more tranquil when they're on the ball, was the word that he used. And he was describing how Di Maria, when he's on the ball, just seems so relaxed. The game just looks so fun to him, right? And I do think there is an element of that with Juventus. There's a lot of mental aspect in these players where it's like they look kind of afraid. You can see it in games when the pressure starts to come on, they start to panic a little bit. I think part of that's down to coaching, but I think also part of that is down to the players and the mentality that they have. Yeah. We compare about this all the time, but in our glory years, people like Khedira, Mandzukic, these guys, Vidal, Pirlo, these guys, great champions, right? And what they could do and that cutting edge they have. I think that some of our players lack that mentality.
I agree, Lou, but I also think that comes down to experience and being around the game a little longer. Like Vlahovic is what, 22, 20, something like that. Like maybe he needs this year to see what Di Maria is doing, how he does it, to get that kind of those ideas, the plan in his mind that he needs to be more decisive. Because yesterday, let's be serious. Yesterday he wasn't good, and that Spezia team,
he had a bad showing.
He should be dominating that back line. Like, I know Kean was his partner, and that didn't help him so much, but he needs to be better. Like, even that pass where they were coming down 2-on-1, where he had Di Maria wide open, that was very, very ugly. So maybe he needs more time. I don't know. You can only blame the coach for so much.
Spoilers for the highlights, man. We don't have much to talk about. Take it easy.
Sorry, man.
Wait, I'll throw in even Milik into that mix. But besides those guys, it kind of feels like hot potato. You get the ball and just move it to whoever's available, even if he's in the back. And there is something common between all these guys. Di Maria, that's the type of player he is, with experience and the teams he played for. The guys who came through the youth team and haven't been coached by Allegri, because the next gen team and the U23 play completely different style of play than what Allegri plays. So they seem more comfortable, and Sule is better when he has guys it seemed better when Miretti and Fagioli were with him, because then he knew what they were going to do. And some of our guys just, they don't know what to do. They don't know who's running where and how to build an attack. That's bad.
This is a great comment from Aldo because it's spot on. The off-the-ball movement is not good enough. The first goal came about. Paredes made an unobvious run into space, and then that opened up more space for Kostic on the side, who then he played it to make that cross in. But off the ball movement. So even when we talk about these guys outside of guys like Chiesa, he's not scared to take guys on, and he will do it. Di Maria, the same goes for him. And outside of those guys, and even when those guys have the ball, you watch the other players, they're standing and watching.
Yeah.
Most of the time, and it's just like, okay, now the ball's with them and whatever. But the off the ball movement, it's got to be much better to help those guys, give them options, and just help create and put teams under it. Yesterday, I can't stress this enough, Spezia's back line was makeshift. You had Ampadu playing as a center back, for Christ's sake. Like, and Vlahovic, I expect Vlahovic, I don't care if he's just come back or whatever. He's got to take advantage of the matchups yesterday. But
I'd like to throw it. Omer was saying about the next gen. We posted a great interview with Samuel England Jr. on last Thursday. It's on the All UVCast Twitter page. You can find the quotes and everything. The Athletic, and he was talking about what the next gen does really well, which is these in Serie C. You don't get a ton of chances, right? You only get 5, 6, 7 chances. So whatever, the passes you make, the play in the final third, you have to make more runs. You have to, be a little bit more clean. You're playing under pressure, right? I think some of the next gen players, like these guys, like Fagioli, for instance, who was in Serie B last year, where you have to, be calm on the ball because you're playing under pressure every week because you're trying to, fight for promotion, but you're also trying not to get relegated. And that table is just all sorts of madness. There's 10 teams that could be promoted every year, like on that list. So, I think that there's experience there with some of those young guys, right? They understand it just a little bit more. Some of these older guys, they've kind of got stuck in these ways, right? Where it's like maybe they weren't defined, or maybe they were stuck in a mid-table team, for their first couple of years of development, and they're just comfortable. It's just a lot too much comfort. There's no urgency, right?
Yeah, and I want to allude to what Aldo said. We've talked about it before. I mean, I've said it here before. You move the ball not solely to move the ball. You move the ball in order to move the other team and create spaces. But when you back pass all the time, and the second you get stuck, you go back to the defenders, it's really easy for the defending team to just stay in positions, cover the center, cover the flanks. And if you don't draw them out, or praying someone beats his defender one-on-one, then you're going to get stuck and eventually lose the ball. That's what happens most of the time. Juve don't know how to exploit dead spaces in the match and how to create them for most of the time, especially not with Paredes, Rabiot, Lucatelli midfield.
The midfield yesterday, there was massive gaps between them and our forward line, and there was very little support. I saw that way too much. It was just, Vlahovic, Kean doing whatever they can to survive. And that's asking a lot for them in terms of possession to try and do that. And it wasn't happening. And our mid was just back there with the back line. And I don't know, all of a sudden, like later on when we're going for that second goal, but all of a sudden then we picked it up and whatnot. It's like all about this balance thing for Juventus. But when I hear Max say things like we need to be more tranquil and more calm and whatever, I'm like, Jesus Christ, any more calm and we'd be literally sleeping on the pitch. Like I didn't pick it up a little bit, but in terms of on the ball, sure, I get it.
That's what I think he meant in that quote. That's how I interpreted it, at least. But maybe I don't know. But Max, like, you never really know.
you really don't. But we'll get more into all that after. So we got the Di Maria, the second goal. Spoke a bit about decisiveness of players and whatnot. 71st minute. This was well worked from Spezia. Okay, nice little sequence that finds them carve us up and end up down the right flank with Amian coming in there and then crossing this in for Jaycee. And Jesus, what a stop by Perin. This was a huge save. If that goes in and all of a sudden it's 2-1, Juve's in for a hell of a final 19 minutes to this game. So Perin making a huge stop. 10 minutes later, he's forced to make another save off a header on a corner kick from Nicolau. Stops that. 84th minute, we have the 2-on-1 Lucci spoke about with Vlahovic. He's got Di Maria trailing him. Nicolau took a look over his left shoulder, saw Di Maria was there, stopped, and Vlahovic put it essentially right into him and then just takes a wild shot, just running onto that. Even the presence of mind in the 84th minute to just, hey, I'm not going to just rip this thing out of there, hold on to it, try to see if he could swing it back and find Di Maria, who still has a ton of space over there. Regardless, that's a situation. These are little situations like that. Like, there's your third goal. You know what I mean? Like, you find Di Maria there, I'd be hard pressed to think he doesn't put that one in the back of the net, right? So little things like that. You see a lot of opportunities like that. We're constantly like losing our minds over passing, just simple passing, plays that need to be executed that take away great scoring opportunities for us. So while we're sitting here talking about, a team that doesn't score a lot like Juventus, and everybody's losing it over, our style of play, like we're so defensive, we're so sit back. There's a lot of opportunities like that take place in a game. Maybe not as clear cut as that, but a lot of opportunities where we take away scoring opportunities from ourselves, right? But Lou, you want to touch on this?
I would just say I agree 100% with it. I think that Nantes is a great example of that. That match, it was poor that we conceded the way that we did, but there were times at the end of that match where you thought Juventus could have got a second one.
Yep.
We were talking about in the chat when Locatelli makes that error pass to Quadrado, the one that everyone blamed Juan for throwing him off on. Where it's like, it's just like, it's a simple, like the Vlahovic thing. It's a simple pass to a player making a run down the right side. It's right there. You just have to execute. Some of these players, they can't execute that for whatever reason, whether it's pressure, whether it's mental. It's not like he had played the full 90 minutes. And Locatelli's been great this year. That's why I use him as an example. But it's little things like that.
Good to go. Yeah.
Did I break up?
No,
it's just little things like that.
Keep going, Lou.
Oh, yeah. It's little things like that where it's like, where it's just simple passes where if you play maybe you get that one place the ball the box and you get a goal, right? So, it's just the little things.
Yeah, little things. That's really, like I said, there's a lot of those opportunities through matches that maybe we're talking about things a little differently if these guys start executing a little bit more, right? So it's one of the things why on the past couple of shows I've been saying, as much as we can have frustrations with Max and see things a certain way, at the end of the day, it's the players that are the ones out there on the pitch, and they got to find a way and they got to get the job done. But we'll see. We got the 2-0 win. Okay. This one had to be a win, but in an overall sense of us going into the game against Nantes, and we'll get to this a little bit later on, I don't know if it really did a whole bunch for Juve. You know what I mean? In terms of giving a boost, giving a shot of an injection of confidence and everything like that. This was a game that just literally, it's a 2-0 win. It's a clean sheet, which is great, but I don't think it really does anything for this team moving forward. And as far as lineup goes, you didn't really gain anything on lineup as far as something you can move forward with, in my opinion. Omer?
Yeah, we did get to rest some of the guys a bit. Bremer finally got a day off. Fagioli played only one half. The rest, I don't know, Bonucci with a few minutes. We'll get the man of the match and stuff soon, but overall, pretty redundant trip to Spezia.
Yeah. So I want to say that. So, number one, hey.
Oh, come on. I was just about to do that.
Have some patience. Relax. It's first thing in the morning, at least here. It's like 6 a.m. my time. Have some patience. Man of the match brought to you by Striped Hearts Apparel. If you haven't checked out the merch, check it out on our merch store. It's one way to show some love for the channel. If you choose sport, I got the Principino. Lucci's got the ADP 10 there. He's my man of the match, to be honest. I was going to name Rugani as my man of the match because I thought he had a clean game, and he didn't put a foot wrong that entire match. So for me, I was actually going to give it to Rugani. I had two others that I would put in the mix, but I thought, man, this guy doesn't get it very often whatsoever. So I'm going to give it to Rugani. Pedin shouts, yes, big save there, but was it enough work to be man of the match? What do you guys think? Let's get all your man of the match. We'll start with Lucci here.
Yeah, I'm giving it to Perin.
All right. So he got enough work for Lucci. Get man of the match.
I mean,
there you go.
that one save goes in, it could be a completely different game. Ending that second half.
No,
All
it's
right,
not
all
only
right.
that. It's not only that. I agree with Lucci. I would also give it to Rugani. I mean, they were kind of both instrumental for this win and keeping the clean sheet. Perin is just the way he communicates with his defense, and he seems always alert. And maybe the fact that he's rather short for a goalkeeper, he gets down to the ground faster than
Yeah.
Chesney, so he doesn't get beat easily. Chesney at times doesn't seem too comfortable, but we'll get to Perin.
Tech also makes me
later.
nervous when he has the ball at his feet. I'm a little more
Yeah.
comfortable with Perin making a
Yeah,
pass out for some reason. I don't know why, but just cause.
So we
But
got
we'll get to that.
we got the
discussion.
majority being Perin here. We got a
And Di
little
Maria.
shout for Alexandro, who was solid. Another one for Rugani. Di Maria getting a shout. Lou, who's your man of the match?
We found Alexandro's level. It's Spezia. So he was my man of the match.
Really, Lou?
Actually, he
Really?
actually had I thought he had a solid game.
Interesting. Well,
Well,
Jesus,
it's not
I would
against
hope so.
Spezia. Yeah.
I'm glad that we got to Sandro because we should talk about this, but I don't know if you guys have noticed in the past 2 games, he's been very, very active in terms of where he's moving, not
Yep.
just wide out on the flank, but also centrally. And it's allowing some of our guys that should be pulling the strings, like Locatelli. Yesterday, it ended up being Paredes quite often, but it allows them to sneak out and find a little bit of space, right? So when teams try to clamp down our Regista type players, whatever, Sandro moving in there actually gets them out of there. And then maybe they could find some. So yesterday, for the most part, we didn't see enough of a benefit from him doing that, but you could see what he's trying to allow to happen. And there were a couple instances anyways where we actually were able to break the lines of Spezia from doing it. So it's very, very interesting. But Sandro's put in 2 very good shifts these past couple games. So if he can keep it going, guys, everybody pray, do whatever you got to do, but hopefully he can keep it going.
He had a
But
poor
Lou
show
throwing out
against Nantes.
Sandro for man of the match. That's something I didn't think.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that either.
Wasn't expecting that
No.
either. So there you go. There's your shouts for man of the match. Perin. We got to talk about this because it just always, every time Perin comes in for a game, you get the talks, and we're at Perin over Chesney for starting role. Who wants to kick us off on Perin over Chesney? I know Omer sent me a photo. I like this. The first thing I wake up to is a message from Omer. It's just this stat from Chesney comparing him to Perin here. So Omar, have the honors and kick us off on this thing.
Well, first of all, I'm nurturing a rivalry with Anthony, so it's kind of in the works. It's still relatively fresh, but I'm working on it. So expect a lot of heat in the next few episodes. I honestly think Perin is better and safer. He seems to have grown in confidence much more than his last stint with Juve. He seems to be communicating better with everyone. I just feel more confident now. I know he plays, and Anthony might say, yeah, but he plays against all the smaller teams. But he did have a good showing when Tech was injured in the beginning of the season. And I mean, Dusan is scoring only against smaller teams. So why is that a stat to his benefit? And Perin keeping a clean sheet against small teams is not to his credit. I think he's just a better goalkeeper. He can get better. Chesney is not bad. Just, I don't know. I feel safer with Perin. Like, how are you guys feeling?
I've said it a million times. I think we have 2 number 1s now.
No, look, Allegri.
I don't have a problem with one or the other. My thing
Allegri
was
was
early in
clear.
the season when Perin steps in and things start turning around. For me, if you have 2 guys that can both be number 1, it's like, you know, Anthony's big thing was a starting goalie doesn't lose their job because of injury. But for me, I saw it in a manner that if all of a sudden things turn around and the team picks up and has a boost or whatever, and that guy's in, I don't care that if you might have your feelings hurt because you lost a job due to injury, but you keep rolling that way. That was my thing.
Yep.
But if I'm looking at these guys, comparing them to, I think it's pretty damn close, you guys. I think we're splitting hairs, to be honest. But the numbers are a little interesting, though, when you start to look at both keepers. They are a little interesting if you start pulling up that stat reel there, Omer. But that's just how I feel. Lucci, Lou, you guys, how are you feeling about the two goalies?
Yeah, well, you're also comparing different stat samples, right? Perrin hasn't played nearly as much. And I think they kind of excel at different things. Perrin's obviously smaller than Tech, and Tech is the better PK stopper, I guess. But you got Perrin. I just more his reflexes are better. He gets down quickly, and even if he is under 6 feet, he manages to get up there. He climbs the ladder no problem. So I don't know. I'm on the Perrin train with Omer, to be honest. And see, I see some of the comments here selling Tech in the summer. I mean, yeah, I probably would have did it last summer, to be honest. But better late than never.
It's not the Perrin train. It's the anti-Anthony.
No, I need to. God, I like Perrin. You guys are making me say bad things about it. But Luca's comment right there, it says stats don't lie. It's night and day stat-wise. If you put some context to the stats, yes, Perrin's been very, very good.
Can I come in quick with some stats, Lou? Is that cool?
Go ahead. Make sure you listen to
the photo on the screen.
So, just so we're aware here, so Perrin has played 8 games to Szczesny's 16.
Yeah.
Okay. And those 8 games are as follows: Sassuolo, Sampdoria, Spezia, Fiorentina, Spezia again, or SC, I'm assuming is Spezia, but AMB, I don't know who the hell that is, to be honest with you. Hellas Verona, Spezia. I don't know. He hasn't played a strong team. I'm trying to figure out
against PSG, did he not?
Monza. That was Monza that they have listed as EMB
PSG,
for whatever reason. So Monza.
2 each.
He's got a match.
Is that really his fault?
Sorry, that was Salernitana.
No,
So he's got 2 games against Spezia, 1 against Salernitana, and that's it. Who's the toughest match he's faced in there? Probably Sassuolo.
Fiorentina's not terrible.
They're not
Okay,
great.
but
Okay, well, that's what I mean. Play him against play him against the top team.
I know, but what I'm saying is it's a little difficult to just really form a basis on some stat numbers when, he kind of hasn't played the big ones there. And if you're looking at percentage-wise, statistically, 8 matches played for Perrin, 16 for Szczesny, 4 clean sheets, so 50% clean sheet ratio. Out of those opponents, by the way, for Perrin, 16 matches played for Szczesny, 10 clean sheets. Slightly higher clean sheet percentage there. You've got 87%, which I think is amongst the highest in Serie A for Perrin. So 87% save percentage, 73 for Szczesny. Goals conceded. 4 goals conceded total for Perrin. 13 for Szczesny. Again, that's probably pretty damn ugly when you factor in that 1 blowout and then the draw against Atalanta. That grossly inflates his numbers, but whatever. Yeah, I don't know, guys.
My thing is fans, they get so lost in the goalkeepers have errors in them. Yes, Tech has made some bad errors. You can't really defend some of the errors that he's made. But overall, when you put the stats in there, 10 clean sheets in 16 starts is really, really good.
Yes, okay, but let's say Perrin starts some of those games. Does it mean we're conceding any goals? The defense was good, so it wouldn't have mattered who's playing in net.
Well, you could say the same thing for Tech versus Perrin. The defense was.
I'm just saying.
No, because how many chances in some of those games, I don't know, like Hellas Verona? We watched the Hellas Verona game. They created nothing. So you could just be like, well, if you put Tech in there, that's another clean sheet. It's just a very kind of washed argument. What I will say about Perrin, though, what I do like about him versus Tech is he's a little bit quiet. He's a little bit more stoic.
And he's
not really
slow.
like Perin does offer some leadership. I mean,
He
even
moves like a robot, man.
yesterday, where he was talking about, like in this moment, you need men, and men, will win you games. I think Perin is very good at that. But we also act like Perin is going to like improve over the next 3 or 4 years. He's 30 years old. Like he might be a good stopgap for a younger guy, but like he's 30 years old. Like the time to invest in Perin was when we signed him the first time around. Like that.
Well,
time
But then
there's the
Buffon
thing,
came
too,
back,
is
and that was a disaster.
ultimately, if we wanted Perin to be the heir to Buffon, he could have been, because he was cheap. And there's a reason big clubs, like what's the reason no big clubs have gone for Perin? Why?
Because he doesn't play. So what are they basing it off of?
But he was starting. He was starting when he was young, he was a starter, man.
Yeah, I was starting for
Juve
Genoa.
went and got Perin, he was starting goalkeeper.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is,
we're talking about like Tech. People watch Tech like it's nothing. He played for Arsenal. He's an international, right? He was great at the World Cup.
He was unreal at the World Cup.
Yeah, he's a good player, right? If Perin is good enough to bench a player like Tech, somebody would come knock a big club, especially in Italy, where the big clubs in the bigger scheme suck compared to the rest of the European clubs. I mean, we can't even touch most of the European clubs.
Yeah.
Milan with Spurs, fine, but none of those clubs are coming knocking. And I like Perin. I think that if Tech leaves in the summer and they sign a young guy, there's a very good chance, hey, you use Perin for a year and then you bring the young guy afterwards, kind of like Roma did with Alisson and Tech the first time.
Yeah.
Fine. But
I like Perin. I really, really do. And like I said, I don't see a problem with our goalie situation whatsoever. In fact, I think it's a luxury that we have two guys that could be number one. But I don't think it's as far tipping a scale between the two guys. Like, I think it comes down to moments. I think Juve missed a moment where Perin probably could have been the guy and could have led, but they went back to Tech, and it's been a back and forth. It is what it is. Perin hasn't played in those big games, and maybe he should have got a shot. I do believe he should have gotten a shot, but it is what it is. Is that ultimately what is setting this team back, though?
No.
Exactly. Like, I don't think.
And Allegri made it clear that Tech is number one and Perin is number two. Outside of that, like, let's take that out of the equation. I'm asking you guys, like, is that what's holding this team back? If all of a sudden we put Perin and he was our starter, are we all of a sudden like just lighting the lamp and dominate? I don't think so. I don't think it's that much. No, that's not the case. Like,
no.
So it was for a portion of last season. I mean, Tech was horrible in the first half of last season. Actually cost us games.
That would have cost us, saved us a few points for sure.
Yeah. At the start of last season, to be fair, Tech does start off seasons pretty slow. That's fair.
Yeah.
I will say this. Probably if you had to pick between the two of them, and again, this is something that sticks in our minds, but again, when you look at the reels, you're talking about half the amount of games. So we can think about some howlers that Tech let in and some ones you expect your starting goalie to stop, and he hasn't stopped them. But again, you're looking at a keeper that's played half the amount of games. And when you go down that list of teams, it's not really pushing the envelope for like, okay, yeah.
It's really a personal thing. I personally prefer Perin. I'm not, angry the same way that when I see Paredes in the lineup and why is this guy starting? It's just fine. It's Tech.
Yeah. I personally, I have no issues with either one of them, to be honest. Perin, I do like Perin. One thing I do like about Perin that I don't think we get as much with Szczesny is how many times Perin can become that sweeper based on how much more agile and quicker he is, right? But I don't think this is this intense as an argument like we see on social media. Storm the Barn questions, I see them coming in. Keep them coming, everybody. We will get to a Storm the Barn session. And I want to ask you guys, we're going to talk about something I saw on social media yesterday, and this was in terms of Juve. We talked about it a bit yesterday with Omer there on goals conceded. And we'll keep this in tune with the goalie talk since we're talking about goals conceded. When Juve concedes, they don't win. essentially. I think we've won like a couple games, like 3, 4 maybe. The thing is, this statement was made on social media, and I couldn't disagree anymore with something I've heard, but it said, Juve does not win when we open up, and that's in the numbers. So we're going to leave that statement out there as that. Juve does not win when we open up. And I want to get your thoughts on that. And is it playing to a narrative that is kind of false?
I don't even know what it means, so go first.
I'll be flat out. I hate it. I hate it because it's
Yeah.
somebody painting a picture that Juve has to play in a defensive shell or we lose. And that's nonsense. That's absolutely nonsense. And the reason is because we, in fact, barely ever open up, and we're still conceding those goals.
Yep.
So that is in turn trying to play to this narrative that Juve has only conceded these goals because they open up. Bullshit. Nonsense. So to say Juve doesn't win when we open up, that's hilarious when I read that. That's garbage. It's absolute garbage. Juve problem is we can't go through the gears. So when we do concede, it's like, okay, it looks like we're going in for a tie. Bullshit. Bullshit. Find the next gear, go out and get another goal. It comes down to the same problem. Juve can't go through the gears. They can't crank it up when they need to and go find a goal. They can't sit back when they need to and do so with balance that isn't just wave after wave of the opposition. It's a ridiculous comment, and I laugh when I hear things like that. Lou?
It's like dumb things you see on social media where it's like, oh, it's so versus this time wrong. Who gives like, you know,
Lou,
like,
you're breaking.
open
Sorry,
thing,
man, you're breaking
I don't
up.
know what the hell that means. Sorry, I deal with some internet issues. Just moved into a new apartment, and I'm personal hotspot, so apologize. This argument where it's like beautiful football versus defensive football versus tactical football, whatever. Just dumb. The whole thing is just dumb. But what I will say, Berto, you were spot on where it's like Juventus, when they concede a goal, just has to go and get another one. That, you know, that confidence, that drive to just like, hey, we can go get another one. You saw in the Nantes game, after we conceded, Allegri did everything that you possibly could as a coach. He threw on how many attacking players, and they could not. You know, they couldn't even put passes together to get a chance on goal. Just that's what I mean. Like Bremer jumping into Locatelli, they don't have that. But this open play thing, yeah, I don't even know what it means.
Yeah. Lucci, Omer?
Yeah, I think that's pretty dumb. Just because we can't score more than, you know, one, the odd time we'll score 2 goals a game. It has nothing to do with our setup. You know, it has everything to do with like Vlahovic not making a proper pass or, you know, something breaking down in the final third. Yes, we need work in the final third for sure, because we should be scoring more goals with some of the talent we have. But that has nothing to do with us opening up or not opening up. We can't score.
I can't believe how many don't actually understand what open up means. It means basically go all out in attack. So that's why I find it so hilarious, right? But
yeah, it's a very random stat that fades into a certain narrative. It's like me posting that 25% of the teams Paredes plays in gets point deduction. I mean, yeah. It's just random to fit into my narrative, but it doesn't actually point to anything. It points to Juve having a mentality issue after conceding. That I would agree.
Yeah.
And we failed to pick up our game after we conceded. But it doesn't have anything.
Yeah, that's a good stat. I think the truth has come out. You've been holding back on us with that stat.
I'm waiting for the right moment.
Yeah.
I mean, in 23 games, we have 36 goals for. That's not enough.
No, that's terrible.
Yeah, that's terrible. When you're looking at the other team's goal differential, it's not good enough. And that's nothing to do with opening up or not opening up. It's not being able to score more than one damn goal a game.
It just
Yesterday
goes
was
to show you the narrative is just it's unbelievable.
It's all
how
about the
people try to
agendas.
push anything to suit their narrative, right? But at the end of the day, again, it's no different than talking about goalies and starting goalies. It's personal preference and how you think the game should be played, what we should be doing more of. For me, this team does not score enough goals, but it also struggles in creation. And you can't say, oh, because we don't win when we concede because the numbers are bad, that we have to only play in one manner. No way. No way. No way. Now Spezia is a team that was pretty depleted in terms of injuries. We talked about the makeshift backline and everything, but we played a lineup that wasn't necessarily set up to really impose our will. Would you guys agree with that? That wasn't a lineup to really impose our will and go out and get like 4 goals.
They took a gamble with that front too. It didn't pay off because of Kean's form, and he said a couple of weeks ago about Vlahovic needs like 4 or 5 games to get going like in a row. I think that's why he went with that 2 up top. It ended up being the wrong decision. But I feel like that took a lot of wind because once Di Maria came in, the nice thing about like player like Di Maria, we saw it during the streak with Moretti. They almost become like a 4th midfielder when they play as that player in behind the striker. So it gives them a little bit more in the midfield. And they didn't have that last night. And they just couldn't. There was nothing they could impose on that team. Also, Quadrado was just not very good yesterday. So one flank is taken out.
Been saying that for years, but no one wanted to listen.
Man, I was trying to find I wanted to look up some certain stats because not that I don't trust you, Lucci, but then all of a sudden have you guys heard about this movie that's coming out? Cocaine Bear.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Based
I
on
was
true events.
Yeah, I was pumping that movie up. Like it should win the Oscars. If it doesn't, I mean the film industry. Have you seen the trailer?
Yes,
Man,
I have.
Who's playing the
trailer had
bear?
me rolling.
Charlie Sheen? What are we doing
Jesus.
here? Cocaine Bear. Take it easy. All right. Anyways.
So what was your point, Al? What are you getting at here?
Moise Kean. We want to talk about goals and all this.
is he
And
the
I was going
Cocaine
to pull up stats again to look at it. I definitely got sidetracked by Cocaine Bear. Not what I was expecting. Anyways, Moise Kean. And just this kind of, we got the news post. So I'm going to let Lou kind of segue into this and the whole Moise Kean thing and his performances and everything, because he is one that still Juventini are just choked about and still say we are going to end up because we have the obligation to purchase him this season. And it's going to be somewhere around the 38 mil mark. Guys, Lou, kick us off on this one. There's a lot of fans that are still choked and say it's way too much money and he's garbage. So
so the Kean thing started over the weekend, I think on Saturday, where it was either Friday or Saturday, where there was a story from Calcio Mercato discussing the Moise Kean relaunch, whereas he's hired new agents and he's looking to kind of like refresh his career, whether that's at Juventus with Max Allegri or somewhere else. And then there was a stat after the game that he now has 7 goals in all competitions, which ties his mark for his entirety of his big debut coming out season in 18-19, which is his best season in Serie A and is only second to his season at PSG where he had 18 goals in all competitions. It was a starter for most of that season, to be fair. The redemption kind of sucks a little bit. Like I think that there one but cheaper. But if this was last year, I would have been like, like Kean, like you should sell him, like get rid of him. I think he's kind of useful. Some of these games where he's had to come in and stopgap, the brace against Lazio was huge. He scored the winner against Hellas Verona. He had an important goal yesterday, whether it was cleanly hit or not. I think he's kind of a useful player. The problem is with the assumption that Vlahovic stays and Milik is redeemed, he's odd man out. Like he doesn't get a ton of playing time. So, but I think fans, they're a little bit too hard on Kean. They remember the Kean from last year and the Everton Kean. There's a good player in there when his head's right. And I really think this year, for the first time, his head seems kind of right. Like he just seems different than in past years. I don't know.
I
Yeah.
mean, you need depth though. Like if you're gonna play on 3 fronts or even 2, you need to have options because one of them's gonna get hurt at some point. And
Yeah.
we have very little wingers, so you need someone at least. I know he's not really a winger; he's more of a. We don't really know what his best position is, but you need options. We don't know about Di Maria. How many wingers can we realistically bring in this summer? So at this point, for the 35, 38 mil, whatever they agreed on, I think you have to do it. You just can't afford to do anything else.
I will say this. When you see Kean struggle, it's in the 2 striker setup. Like he struggles in a 2 striker setup, unless that other striker is Milik. But even when you think back to his first stint with us, when he came in and all of a sudden was hot and stuff, single striker, man.
Yeah.
Single striker. He cannot partner up with a guy that plays very similarly. But if you give him that creating thing around, and his numbers are good this season. I mean, they're not lying. I mean, we could talk about the strength of opponent there, but he does have some goals against some important goals like Lou highlighted. And I don't know. This season, he's doing a good job. I think we can work with that. If it's my personal opinion, I'm happy Vlahovic, Milik, and Kean, and I would move on with those 3. Like, I would redeem Milik. I'm fine with Kean. Sure, the price tag a little hefty, but man, he's still so young. Like, people forget that, and it's like he's still so young. I have no problems with Kean. The struggles in play on hold up and stuff like that. Again, it was different in just a few sequences yesterday, even when all of a sudden we started launching balls beyond Spezia's backline and Vlahovic and Kean were running onto it. It's a whole different game, man. It's a whole different game for those guys. That's more of what we need to see out of them. But again, it's putting everything together. So the service that they get, more often than not, is just us trying to play it up to them and expect them just to hold possession against like 3 or 4 opponents, right? But again, I don't actually see a problem with these guys.
I think the other problem with Kean is that when he was brought back, he was the Ronaldo replacement. And it was just like fans' expectations, like this guy's going to fulfill that gap. It should never have happened. It's just like that was never going to happen, right?
I don't think it was a Ronaldo replacement. It was the
panicked
market at the time after the pandemic. Yeah, Ronaldo left 2 days to the end of the season, and that's what we managed to come up with.
But it was like it was sold like almost like in the papers. You know how like the rumors go, and then fans like they get mad at the club because they didn't actually replace Ronaldo, so they blame the guy that's like starting matches. It's how that goes. To be fair to Kean, we praise Milik a lot on this show. I think a lot of fans have kind of like apologized for being cruel to Milik. They have the same amount of goals in all competitions. So, I mean,
I'll play devil advocate here a bit. Not that I have a problem with Kean, and I'm really holding out for him because he is a youth product, and I really want to see him succeed in a Juve shirt. It's just he have games. Let's talk in FIFA terms. It feels like some games you have like an 88 card of a striker, and sometimes it's just a 70 striker who can't control a ball.
It's weekend league tax, man. Fucking FIFA. Fucking FIFA.
Yeah. But that's kind of how I feel with him sometimes. Like, I get disappointed because I know he can do better. I've seen him do better, and sometimes you just look at it and the trampoline in his leg, like, no way that's how a top tier player stops a ball that's coming toward him. But sometimes he's great. He's phenomenal. And I do give him the benefit of the doubt and some more time. He is young, but I still want to see more consistency from him when he plays.
Yeah.
That's fair.
And that's fair. That's fair. I mean, the numbers, it's funny because when you start looking at the numbers, okay, you start seeing that he's right there with a guy that everybody praises, Milik. And Kean's not that far off. But the thing is that it's all about what's here and that recency bias, because people think back to oh, man, you take a shot, you get a rebound, and you watch it go out. for a corner kick rather than play it right back to Kostic quick, who then has Chiesa right in front of goal, right? They stick those things that stick to the minds. And you know what? Shit, mistakes happen, whatever. But again, when you start dialing back the layers, fuck, he's 22 years old. Okay. And again, his numbers are right there with Milik. If you're going to praise one, how on earth do you not praise the other? Their numbers are the same. Essentially, he's doing just as good a job as Milik.
But that's the question that we could also ask about Perrin and Szczesny. I mean, are the numbers everything, or do you really need to watch the game and see the way they operate to make a final judgment?
There you go.
Still, Milik feels a bit more, let's call it baked. Like he's been in the oven long enough, and Kean still needs time. And it's fine. He's 22. I'm not saying it's
different.
a bad thing.
I see them as completely different, though.
Yeah,
that's the thing. That's why I don't put it back to the goalkeeper thing. I love you trying to push this thing with Anthony and really stick it to him for the petting thing. But it's different because the struggles that Kean has in his game, Milik actually does well in those areas, right?
That's why they complement each other.
And
better
that's
than
why
Vlahovic.
the two of them actually do work when you're going to play the two of them together, as opposed to Vlahovic and Kean. So it's tough. It's tough. It's a tough thing. But Kean, I think he gets a tough go from many Juventini, to be honest. Yeah, it's tough one. Storm the Barn. You guys ready? Let's take on Storm the Barn. Let's see what we got.
Is there any Pogba questions today?
Get your questions in here now. And let's get those likes up on the video. Come on.
Lucci, I'm sure if there's Pogba questions, people will complain about it on Twitter.
Me included.
What's that?
Yeah, I'm sure if there's Pogba questions, people will complain about us talking about Pogba on Twitter.
You want me to pull out his stats from this season?
Yes. So
how does a guy, okay, you got witch doctors around you and you can't get healthy right now? Come on, man. Come on.
And so what
Not
happens
even
if
the
Fajoli
Voodoo
isn't healthy this week for Nantes? We have no midfield.
I'm
available.
available.
Sacrifice a goat if it happens.
Okay.
And I saw that comment, and don't worry.
You have a game tonight. Okay. You have to pick Donnarumma or Perin. Who are you picking? Clue.
Donnarumma. I saw him do it at the Euro.
Yeah, Donnarumma. Yeah. For me, it's Donnarumma.
No question.
Omar, fight the fight, man.
No, I mean, I've said it yesterday. He mentioned that we have no hair. I said we have more brain. So that's a stupid question. Sorry, Luca. I mean, come on.
So true.
Donnarumma or Perin? What are you talking about?
Luca's getting hammered.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Omar, you killed me, man. You killed me.
I love you, Luca. I mean, but that question.
Take a seat, Luca.
Guys, who are you pegging for our starting midfielders next season?
Who will be?
Well, I'm assuming Pogba's not going to be healthy by then. So,
do you know what I'd like? I'm just going to share because I think it's very hard to tell. Obviously, we don't know where the dust's going to settle by end of the season. What I would like: 4-2-3-1. Your pivots are Rovella and Loca, and Fajoli's your attacking one.
I like it.
Let's get after it. That's what I would like. You know.
Yep, I agree with that.
Like that?
No argument for me.
The question is, are we with the guys we have now or the possible arrival of
For the sake of being different? For the sake of being different, Locatelli, Fajoli, and Meraki. Just that's what you need.
All right.
Okay.
Omar, I'm going to throw one in there?
Yeah, I'm actually liking what you suggested. I mean, because there's a good place there for if one of the guys come back from his loan, and Miretti, when he comes back, has a good chance in that midfield. Even Pogba, if he's ever healthy.
Yes, Omer.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have, if you, I don't know, if Pogba's healthy, he's got to play. Luca's so upset.
Well,
I love it. I love it when we upset Luca. It's very easy to do, everybody. Very easy to do.
The old boy.
Pogba feels like Pogba feels like one of those MLS players who like played at Juventus for 30 years and then comes back to like train in the off season and then like go back. That's what it feels like with Pogba.
Yeah.
He just like randomly shows up every month and it's like, oh yeah,
I mean,
Pogba's there. And
none of us named Pogba because I didn't because he's just whatever. But I mean, Pogba or Fagioli in that attack in advanced role in the 3-man mid, sure.
Yeah.
Put Pogba in there. Put Pogba in there. Let's get to our next one. This is from Anthony. Would you consider playing 4-3-3 with Rugani and Bremer as CBs to start against Nantes? You know what?
I've already said it. Yes.
I said before we were going to move to a 4-3-3, I couldn't find a back line I was comfortable with. But you know what? Fuck it. Make it happen. If that's the way you got to get the Trident in, you need 3 midfielders on this team. I would be okay with Rugani playing back there, but
we've seen this movie before.
Oh, that's Champions League. This is Europa League. It's different.
It's crucial games. I'm telling you, we saw it last year. Rugani plays really well against some smaller teams. You throw them into a big match, and they get destroyed. Rugani's been very good this year. I don't want to crap on him.
He was good last year too. He was good.
Yeah, last year too. But it's just there's games that he shouldn't be in. And that is one of them.
But
does it do more? Does it do more for the group as a whole? And this is where I challenge a 4-3-3 because I personally think the 3-5-2 setup does more for us overall.
Depends who's available, though. I think
so. It's not about the 4 at the back or anything like that. For me, the most balance we've had for quite some time comes out of the 3-5-2. I think you have to work out of that if you're Juve. The shitty thing about it is that you have to break up Di Maria and Chiesa. But Di Maria is also not fit for full 90s. So it actually
neither of them are
work out.
Yeah, I think your answer to this is based on what we have seen this season. I mean, remembering Rugani versus Ajax is one thing, but when you watch how Bonucci played this season and how Cuadrado is playing, it's kind of your default. You have nothing to go for except that. Those were our best performers so far this season, considering everything we've seen.
I mean, I would consider a back 4 with those two and then Danilo on the left and MDS on the right. Keeps Cuadrado out, keeps Sandro away from left back because we know he can't play there anymore. It's a stable back. Like, it's not a very, like, you have...
the other thing I go back
transitions to a back 3.
The other thing I go back to is we don't have the fullbacks.
Well, that's what I mean.
The back 3, I'm with Bertrand on this. The back 3 it suits us more. It
doesn't suit our attackers more, though. It suits our back line.
Yeah, and our back line, arguably the strongest part of our team right now. Do we want to get rid of that? We just talked about how much.
If you go to a 4-3-3, I see our fullbacks completely dead in the water. The 3-5-2 at least allows us some flank play too, right? Our biggest issue is not having a general in the center of the park that can pull the strings and get these guys higher up. Well, the fact that we need our forwards dropping so far back to be one of those creatives is what's killing us. We need that general in the middle. Unfortunately, the guy that's supposed to be doing that can't get fit. But 3-5-2 for me is the way to go this year, boys. I don't know.
I hate it, but you're probably right.
I do too, but we can't bank on anyone to stay fit long enough to sustain a different formation.
Yeah. You can't bank on somebody staying around enough that we could change the formation.
Yeah, I can't bank on Chiesa always available playing left wing or Di Maria or our midfield. And like we're most stacked at center backs.
And to be honest,
with experience.
To be honest, we saw it in a game already when we deployed them. If you go with it and it doesn't work, you're putting a lot on the younger guys coming in to get them over that finish line. And that was a draw situation. I don't mind keeping a little firepower, especially like Chiesa or Di Maria coming off against tired legs. Like,
it's not a problem. And I would have liked to see the 4-3-3 more, but after everything we've seen this season, I don't think we can sustain it because we don't look like a team who has been training together. We don't work as a unit on the field. So trying a new formation now when we know that the formation we're playing with isn't even that good is like, asking to be beaten by other
Yeah.
teams.
Yeah.
So we got the 4-3-3. We got some more Storm the Barns. Let's get to some more here. This is amazing. Aldo, are we going to see Allegri play Tech and Perin together? Hey, 2 goalies better than 1. Let's go. Let's go.
Nobody can beat us then.
Hey, you want more points deducted?
Anthony coming in for Lou. Start Bonucci or Rugani in the back 4.
Dear God.
So let's say back 4, you have to start 1. Who do you put next to Bremer?
Rugani.
100% Rugani.
I'm going to pick Bonucci.
Too slow. Too slow. Way too
I think
fragile
that-
defensively.
This isn't a question for you, Lucci. It says Lou.
Wow.
I think that Primer could use. I'd still go with Bonucci.
I think
That's
I
tough,
go
though.
Rugani right now, man.
It's
Kind of
tough.
with Lucci.
I think the Bonucci would bring some experience that they kind of need.
I think
They
he'd
need a
bring
little
that.
leadership.
We saw that experience against Milan when Diaz walked around him like a pylon. So that's my
Yeah.
my explanation for that.
That was a really, really bad look. Holy.
Was
Is that far-fetched that Rugani is better as a CB at 28 than he was at 24?
No
No, that's kind of normal.
experience.
Yeah, so Bonucci is way past his prime.
Yeah.
Again,
He's no
both
Chiellini.
those players though are like 3rd or 4th best at best. Like Rugani's a 5th string starter.
Well, he's playing over Gotti, so what does that tell you?
We should go down the list of opponents Rugani's played against. Show me them, because it's literally it's like the Perin Tech argument again.
You
It's
want
like,
the opponents Daniele Rugani has faced?
Yeah.
So he has faced Sampdoria. He
That's
has
tough
faced
to lose.
5 games.
Maccabi Haifa in the 2-0 loss.
Horrific in that game.
He has faced
Everyone was.
Empoli in the 4-0 victory. He has faced Udinese. He has faced Monza, and he has faced Spezia. Obviously,
Okay,
yesterday.
so right there, Monza, horrific. We lost that
We
game.
lost.
Maccabi.
No, this was
Haifa,
the Coppa Italia victory.
Oh, okay. Well, there you
2-1
go,
win.
Lou.
Yeah, it was Gatti in the first Monza game.
Gatti was in the first.
Ooh.
Maccabi Haifa,
Lou's
it's
argument
basically a
down the
Europa League
toilet.
team. Actually, I don't even know if they got into
Gotti's not ready. Gotti's not ready, man.
They conceded 2 goals to a team you didn't hear of until the group stages this year.
And you can't blame one
Rugani's
person,
not a
one
big
player
game
for
player.
that.
No, but Rugani's not a big game player. Like he belongs against Sampdoria and Monza.
I mean,
not
Not yet.
League.
I mean,
Not yet. It's different with defenders.
when you lose
I
2-0
always say.
to Maccabi Haifa, that's more than just one player's fault. That's the whole damn team that sucks.
I would play Rugani.
I think we leave it at that. Lou is just wrong, as per usual.
I don't know if he's just wrong. It's a preference thing, but
It's a loser without an Al Lucci.
okay, guys. So as we're having fun, sharing some laughs here, now all of a sudden I'm not laughing and I'm terrified. Are we getting nervous about this
Jeez.
Sandro renewal as he keeps racking up game after game after game?
Yes.
No.
Hell yeah.
Yep.
No.
Yep.
I think they made it very clear that these guys are out. I mean, that's the only reports we've seen for a long time. Since the beginning of the season, it's always Cuadrado, Rabiot, Paredes. Yeah, maybe a renewal for Rabiot, but these guys are not staying and they're 100% leaving. I'm even willing to put a bet that Sandro is not getting renewed. Although I wouldn't be surprised if he has like an automatic renewal that we didn't know about that gets triggered by the end of the season.
Is that
I mean,
obligation real? The journalist that you interviewed, Berto?
Well, that's the thing is
Can't-
like we heard about this automatic renewal. We heard the fact that like it's stipulated on appearances, but you also continue to hear that he's done at Juve and they've made it clear with him. He's come out and said in an interview that, you know, the renewal is up to the club and he's heard nothing coming back that way, right? So it is what it is, right? I mean, I personally am gonna stick to now. The interesting thing is when I asked Mirko Di Natale, I said, "Hey, is this thing legit? Is there in fact an automatic renewal?" And he said yes. He said yes, it is real. There is an automatic renewal clause, but he could not verify. This is where it gets. He could not verify what in fact the stipulations were, what the criteria was, right? But he said there is an automatic renewal there. So yeah, I'm pretty scared.
Yeah. I'm just happy Quadrado's leaving though.
Because then if that's the situation,
now
Juve has to do the same thing they had to end up doing with Ramsey there, which is they would end up having to find some type of severance or whatnot and break through, which absolutely sucks. Absolutely sucks. But again, we'll see what happens. But the Sandro thing, Jesus, man, it does have to come to an end.
Send Sandro to a penal colony. We'll be fine.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see.
I even think if he gets renewed, he gets sold too.
Who's gonna want to pay for him when they could get him for free?
Sampdoria.
Yeah, we're not gonna find a deal there.
No.
Chesney might have a deal.
Might
have a deal on next season, maybe. But
Tech
again,
McKennie,
going in last year,
Tech McKennie, Zakaria, if he doesn't get bought by Chelsea, those are like your three best options to make some cash.
Those were actually good.
But then you have Arthur coming back, and you're going to be stuck.
Yeah. Where's Arthur in everyone's projected lineups for next year?
Jesus, he's in the reserves.
He's in a smoke shop right now, sitting down next to a bong. Like, who knows what the hell this guy's doing? Unbelievable. Anyways, that was an interesting Storm the Barn session. It tackled a lot, and I hate to leave on a note of talking about a Sandro automatic renewal. So what I'm going to do right now is open it up before we say goodbye to everybody on the panel. Do any of you have a question that you want to ask the panel that maybe we didn't tackle today? So do any of you have any questions that maybe we didn't get to? Omer.
Yeah, we didn't do too much news today, if any, but Ricky Massara is now rumored to, have sort of a breakout with Milan, and he might be our general director or sporting director next season. What do you think of that?
I mean,
A sporting director in general would be amazing.
Yeah.
And stop promoting scouts.
Yeah, fair enough.
That would be well, to answer Elmar's question, I do like Ricky Massara. I think that he gets blamed for a little bit of their woes this year, but I don't think that was all on him.
They've made some questionable signings, to be fair.
Yeah.
But signings are a gamble.
Fair.
My Storm the Barn question would be, and this kind of goes to Omar's question. You guys could pick a sporting director. Who would it be? For me, I think Carnevale from Sassuolo would be a good one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Carnevale, that'd be a good one.
Depends on the club. I mean,
what I thought about Campos would have been one for sure. I would have loved, but yeah, I think Carnevale's in there for sure. Probably one.
I don't think it's a sporting director talk. I mean, all the guys we're mentioning are known for buying youngsters on the cheap, which is fine because that's what the Juve board said they're aiming at, promoting youth and not buying stars. The question is who the manager will be, because if you are bringing Massara to make a younger team and buy players on the cheap, then Allegri is not the right guy to
also true
take that team forward. So it kind of goes together. If you bring in a sporting director that specializes in youngsters, you need a manager who specializes in youngsters too.
Yeah. Whether you're pro Allegri or anti Allegri, whatever, one thing's for certain in sports: when you hire a new director, they almost always sack the coach. I mean, you're hearing about Ten Hag with Manchester United's new owners, like he's under fire now. Like that's just kind of what happens. Like new managers come in and they want their guy. Like that's so realistically, even if a new sporting director came in and kept Max, it would mean that he got like appointed in August. Like, like that's the only way I think that he would stay beyond this year is if
I think the kicker that is in there is the fact that there are technically two, and we don't know if they're actually interim running as the kind of managers right now for the management team. We don't know if they're going to be sticking around longer because these are the guys right now that are feeding us that Max is, the guy. Like we like Max. We're in sync with Max and stuff like that. But again, things can change in a hurry.
What
We
do
just
you
got to
wanted to say?
Start with a sporting director, get a management team. Let's see. But
I got a quick question
I think
for
it's
the
all
boys.
pretty interim here, other than the board of directors, which I think is locked in now. But man, there's a lot of interesting stuff floating around Juve. But we'll get to. Oh, we got a couple more dropping in here. Mike, of course. He's in the lineup already, man. Been crushing weekend league. What's
Just
going
tell
on
him
here?
to
What
get
are we doing
healthy
here?
already.
Does
Let's be
Luca
serious.
have an automatic renewal in AJC? I never want to do this, live on air or whatnot, but no, there's definitely no automatic renewal there. So
Thank God.
yeah,
No,
we're
he's
gonna
a
put it up
special
to vote
project.
on the live chat one day, and I'm sorry to have you find out like this, Luca, but your fate kind of lies in the audience here. So, see, good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck, though. If you could
Allegri
change
coming
one
in.
thing in Juve's history other than Calciopol, would it be? More fucking finals wins. Those were brutal. Easily would
Simple
take
answer.
back those wins.
Yeah.
Man.
I'd like
What
to.
about you
I'd
guys?
like to-
One thing you could change.
I'd like to erase Cardiff from my memory forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would go back and stop that Morata leaving for Paratici.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Yeah. You know what else? I would like to in the second leg, because I really think that team was peaking at the right time. They could have made a run. They were right there. But just clear the damn ball, Evra. God damn it.
Evra. Uncle Pat. Gotta clear that fucking ball, man. Jesus
That
Christ.
guy,
Every time I
that
see him,
guy.
that's the first thing
Why?
that comes to my head is just clear that goddamn ball.
One of my favorite
Why?
signings
That
ever, and
guy-
I can't get over that.
Yeah, he likes Juve more than most of the players that played in the club for 7 years. I mean, it's really hard to hate him. It's mainly that thing, that specific clearance, and that's about it. What else can you say about him that is not good for Juve? I mean, afterwards he had
Yes.
some horrible stuff, but
Yeah.
for Juve,
Can we highlight that last comment?
Which one?
Berna leaving?
That's a good one. It's my boy.
Oh,
Baggio's
He would have
name-
helped this year. Don't even argue against it.
see that's Lucci for you. I mean, he's trashing Pogba and Dybala, but
At least Berna would have been available. At least he would have been available. That's all. Best availability
One
is
of the players I
availability,
wish-
as Anthony likes to say.
Berto, I
Oh,
got
Quote
I
Anthony.
when you're
What
quoting
what
something-
does availability matter when the quality is that of my 4-year-old daughter? Come on, let's
No,
But
man.
Berto, one
I mean,
last
Pretty Solid is
She's
available.
awesome. She
one
She
one
broke
last
it.
note. If I could go back in time, I'd reverse signing Rabiot. Now we can end.
Oh, jeez.
dude, I literally
Well, that ties into Paratici and Morata, so
we have this thing about our show that things just kind of always happen and appear at these crazy times when we have certain guests on and everything. And Lou, life has kind of made it hard for him to make a lot of these shows. We're pumped he's here today. And sure as shit, Romeo Agresti's got a post like right now that Rabiot has a meeting set tomorrow, apparently willing to accept a lower wage. Matt.
Oh,
So
no.
Romeo Agresti says there's a meeting tomorrow where apparently the terms could be agreed upon for what he is paid now, and he might actually accept.
Jeez.
but
Lou,
what-
how do you feel?
R.I.P. Lou.
And anyways,
No.
yeah, I just fucked with you. I just wanted to see the reaction, and yeah,
Oh.
there's no news on Rabiot, but we have to have fun with
Ah,
Sweet Lucifer over here.
That
So
was toxic.
I
That
think
was
it
cool,
only
man.
happens if
That was
Allegri
cool.
stays anyway.
That was cruel.
That was
the
cool.
crazy horse, Il Pazzo Cavallo. No, we're just bugging you. We're just having fun.
Yeah,
But
okay,
Lou, you are dangerously close to owing Jeremiah a jersey here. I think Rabiot only needs 2 goals, man.
What are you talking about? I don't remember that.
Gee.
Oh, come on.
I'm just
Not
kidding.
only that, you should film yourself buying it so we can upload it to Twitter
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
with a
yeah.
face of
Look
shame.
at the chat.
Shame.
I should apologize to everyone in the chat too. They were just losing their mind.
You had me
No.
right there because I have Twitter, like the the news account on the side here, just in case anything comes up, like while we're doing the show. And I instantly went to that tab and was like, let me find this real quick.
Oh man,
Wait,
that's so
no,
good.
Al, that's
Sure.
dangerous because someone might quote you and said, "Yeah, through the AGC, Rabiot is working on a contract."
I said I'm
some will get
joking.
more views.
Said I'm joking. It's all good.
You know
It's all
how
good.
it works. social
I know
media.
how it works. Anyways, you guys, great show. Lou, Lucci, Omar, absolute pleasure. We made the most of a show at out of what was a very, boring game, I must say. But hey, we all know what's coming up. The big one. Thursday against Nantes. We have to get the job done in France. Okay. I'm going to keep you posted with the daily update videos on Thursday. We're going to go live same time, 8:30 a.m. Eastern time. And we're going to get hyped up for that one. And hopefully the guys come out with a strong showing and get the job done. We absolutely have to. I'm going to leave here by going around the horn and seeing how we feel going into that one. And just a simple yes or no. Does Juve get through Nantes? Lucci.
Yes.
Yes. Omar.
They better.
Lou.
Yes.
I'm saying hell fucking yeah. We're getting through, okay? We're
Watch us
getting
lose
through.
now.
They will get the job done, all right?
There was
Everybody,
too many yeses there.
everybody, thanks again. Live chat, you guys are amazing, all right? Please drop a like, and on your way out, drop something in the comment section, okay? Much appreciated. Subscribe, and we will talk to you soon, all right? As always, fino alla fine, forza Juve. Ciao tutti.